back to the deep dive. Today we're going deep into a story. It's pure Canadian hockey, but with a twist.
Yeah, it's a good word.
Okay, so get this. It's 1976, and this small mining town in northern Ontario, Manitouwadge, they're crazy for hockey, like many Canadian towns are.
Yeah.
But then their only arena,
it
gets shut down because the roof is literally falling apart.
It's a big problem. Yeah. And we aren't talking like a minor fix here. The repair bill was $175,000.
Oh.
Which is almost $1 million in today's money.
Yikes.
So this was major.
Yeah. So imagine you're on the town's midget hockey team,
right?
The Manitouwadge Flyers, no home ice, potentially long travel times for practice.
Yeah.
Would you even bother having a season?
That's a really good question. I think it speaks to resilience and community spirit. Some players were understandably hesitant,
right?
But enough of them stuck it out. And that's really how this story begins.
Okay, but every great hockey story needs a great coach. Tell me about this Bob Keys guy. He sounds like a legend.
Bob Keys was more than just a coach. One of his players, Ed Henderson, actually described him as a force that shaped boys into men.
Ooh.
He was demanding.
Yeah.
He instilled discipline and pushed his players to be their best, both on and off the ice.
I love that. So it wasn't just about winning. It was about developing character.
Yeah.
That seems like it was key to the team's resilience, especially when you consider what they were up against.
Absolutely. And, forming the team wasn't easy. Some players were drawn to the challenge, right? While others were more hesitant.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
No home arena, long road trips.
Right.
Couldn't have been easy. So how did those early days play out? Did they manage to find places to practice and scrimmage?
Well, they did, but it took a lot of creativity and dedication. Practices were sometimes held outdoors, and they had to travel to neighboring towns just for a chance to scrimmage against another team.
Wow. So they're already battling uphill just to get started. It makes you wonder what kind of impact that had on their playing style. Did it make them tougher, more adaptable?
It's hard to say for sure, but it definitely fostered a strong sense of camaraderie. These kids were going through something unique, something that bonded them together in a way that most teams never experience.
Right. And then they have this regional tournament.
They do.
The Wrigley Midget Tournament. For those of us who aren't hockey experts, can you explain what that is?
Sure. The Wrigley Midget Tournament was a big deal back then. It was a stepping stone to the national championships. Teams from across the region battled it out for a chance to represent their province on a national stage.
Okay, so the stakes are getting higher. Tell me how the Flyers did. Did they blow everyone away?
Well, they had their ups and downs.
Okay.
But there's one game that really stands out.
Okay.
Their victory against Fort William. They won 7-2. And it wasn't just luck. They used a strong forechecking strategy, disrupting Fort William's breakout passes and forcing turnovers.
Oh, so they were playing smart tactical hockey.
Exactly.
Which suggests that Coach Keys was really emphasizing strategy over just pure talent.
Exactly. And it paid off. This win was a major turning point for the Flyers. It proved they could compete with some of the best teams in the region.
That must have been a huge confidence booster, especially considering they were dealing with so much adversity off the ice. But wait, wasn't there some controversy surrounding the tournament?
There was. The tournament was plagued by eligibility disputes, with accusations of teams using ineligible players. Even the Flyers themselves lost points due to this.
Whoa.
Yeah.
So even while they were celebrating this big win, there was drama unfolding behind the scenes. Do we know how the players reacted to that? Did it throw them off their game?
That's a great question. We don't have a lot of firsthand accounts from the players about how this controversy affected them emotionally.
Yeah.
It would be fascinating to know if it distracted them, or maybe even fueled an underdog mentality.
Yeah, I'm picturing those old school crackly phone calls between coaches and tournament organizers, trying to sort it all out. It must have been a logistical nightmare. But in the end, despite the drama, the Flyers earned their spot in the national tournament.
Right, they did. They punched their ticket to the Wrigley National Midget Tournament in Moncton, New Brunswick.
From a town with no arena to the national stage. Talk about a whirlwind journey. Did it feel real to them at that point?
Well, imagine this. For many of these kids, it was their first time on a plane.
Wow.
They were traveling across the country to play against the best teams in Canada. It must have been both exhilarating and terrifying.
Absolutely. And speaking of talent, does any individual players stand out during this run? We've talked about Coach Keys' impact, but were there any rising stars on the team?
Oh, definitely. Ken Fairservice. Their leading scorer was a force to be reckoned with. He was known for his incredible skill and vision on the ice, often making something happen out of nothing.
So even amongst all the challenges and controversy, they had this star player who was lighting it up on the ice. It seems like there's a pattern emerging here. This team was full of surprises.
And that's just the beginning of the story. Stay tuned, because next we'll dive into what happened when these small-town heroes took on the national stage.
I can't wait to hear it.